All right, let's talk about Midjourney outpainting. And it's not actually called outpainting in Midjourney, it's called zoom out because they like to do things differently. Or panning is another kind of version of this. But it's very similar to what you can do in DALL-E called outpainting, or the Stable Diffusion outpainting extension as well in Automatic 1111. The way outpainting works, if you've heard of inpainting, it's inpainting but outside of the frame. Inpainting would be if you wanted to change that building or you want to change who was sitting at the bench, whereas outpainting is if you want to generate outside of this image but keep this whole image the same. So I'm just going to show you the quick and easy way, which is zoom out. So if we want to see what's happening outside of this shot of this woman on the bench, we could click zoom out. We don't even need to put in a prompt, and it's going to generate something here so you can see it's working. And what it does is it just adds frame around the image and then generates with the same prompt. You can see that it's keeping that center of the image the same, but it's zooming out essentially and keeping it consistent with the rest of the image. And this is a really great feature. It works very well out of the box. And I would say this is the easiest way to do it. In DALL-E, you have to go and add these generation frames manually. In Stable Diffusion, it doesn't work that well, to be honest, in my experience, unless you're using maybe Stable Diffusion XL with ControlNet, and that can be pretty complicated to get working. This just works right out of the box and it's really good. You can actually keep going with this. You can keep zooming out if you want to. First, you need to upscale a specific image, one that you like. So I like this one at the top left here because it seems to have more flowers. And then you just zoom out again. So here I'm going to do a big zoom out here. You can also do a custom zoom, which is you can change the prompt itself. And so in this case, you could say, near the water, and then just see what it does. It's going to hopefully add more stuff to it. You can notice as well that the zoom is really just something that you add to the parameters. So you can say -- zoom on any image actually, and it will do it. So you don't necessarily have to use those buttons. And you can see here I've changed the zoom to 1.5, so it'll see what that comes up with. So this is what we're getting with the 2x zoom out. So we zoomed quite far now, and we're getting some pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more images, we're seeing a lot of nature, we're seeing a lot of buildings, etc. That's, I think, doing a pretty good job. And you can see that our bigger zoom, our zoom next to the water is ready to run now. So while we're waiting for that, I want to show you some of the other things that you can do in terms of panning. Panning is these buttons right here, and just like panning a camera, you can look up, you can look down, you can look left or look right. And what this does is basically it's the same as zoom out, but instead of adding stuff all around the image like we did before and like still keeping it square, this changes the shape of the image. So it adds a frame on the left, but nowhere else. So we're just going to try that. And then you can also submit something new here if you want, or you can just use the same prompt. So we'll see what that gets. Okay, so it looks like here it didn't add anything to do with water necessarily. We couldn't fit it into this image particularly well. So maybe we want to try that with our panning. And we can be a lot stronger, so we can maybe get rid of the sitting on a bench near the water, and it would literally just put water and see what that comes up with. So interesting with panning is because we kept using the same prompt here, a woman sitting on a bench, it's added another woman on a bench, right? That's something to think about here with panning left. That is something to think about with Midjourney and with inpainting and outpainting in general. You want to decide whether to keep the same prompt or to modify it specifically for that selection. So you can see here that we have in this case, we have another woman that's sitting on a bench here. But like the nice thing is that we actually have a wide angle shot, so we're actually changing the aspect ratio. This could be a really good way to, instead of just always generating square images, we could get panoramas or we could get portrait pictures, whatever it is we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upscale version 3 here, and then we're going to pan up and we're going to change the prompt specifically to see this. We can also, so here we go. So we're panning right. Let's pan, and we're going to say, instead of a woman sitting on a bench, you say a lake. in a nice park in Manhattan surrounded by skyscrapers. And obviously you can do a lot more prompt engineering here, like you can mess around a lot more with this stuff if you need to, but we're just keeping it simple for the sake of it. The other thing you can do here is you can click make square, and that will then make it square again, and then you can do more stuff if you need to. From the make square button, once this image is square again, that's going to add some extra bit on the top and the bottom and the right. Then you can access more of the features again. So you can see here it's done its best to add in a lake, which is very nice. And I think it's done a pretty good job here too. All right, so that is Midjourney outpainting and the pan pictures. Again, it's a relatively new feature. It's been out in the past month or so. So it's still experimental. Still, a lot of people are trying it and seeing what works. I think it works pretty well out of the box. It's probably the easiest way to do some of those viral photos that you've probably seen where people take an image of the Mona Lisa and then zoom out. If you did want to do this on an existing image, you'll find that you probably just need to upload that image and then put the URL in here. Let me just try and do that for you guys just to show you that workflow. So if you want to say upload this image, then click on it. Then you want to copy the link, and then you want to just put that in the prompt. Okay, I'm getting an error there. Copy link. Okay, just gonna put that in there. Okay, just going to put in the word extremely detailed, just because you can't prompt a version 5 with only a single image. So you have to add some text prompt to change. I think it's just to help them avoid copyright issues. So I just put in extremely detailed. That should help you get around it. Okay, so once we have this image, and we can obviously weight the prompt in different ways as well. So we could weight extremely detailed as much lower, or weight the image as much higher if we want to. Once we have an image uploaded, so here I'm just going to say U2, then we can do some inpainting and or outpainting from here. So then we can zoom out if we want to and see what's outside of this alien attacking a house. All right, so hopefully that gives you guys a good understanding of what outpainting is and how it can be used. It's extremely powerful, and Midjourney, I think, is one of the better tools at doing it now as well. So I think there's a lot to be used here, although I would say I'm still doing a lot of my outpainting workloads on Stable Diffusion and just iterating a lot with the parameters. And trying to get that right. I haven't fully moved everything over to Midjourney just yet, but there's still some limitations in terms of the flexibility and like what you're allowed to do. All right, hopefully that's useful.